Hey everybody, Mike and Sandy here again with TheRealParents.com. We have a wonderful guest with us today. Angel Tucker is a certified human behavior consultant. And we're going to have a conversation about different personalities that kids have and that parents have, and really how we can better our relationships with our families through those types of things. What do you think about that, Sand?
Sounds pretty interesting. Hi Angel, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, can you give us a little bit of background on what exactly is personality profiling?
Well, personality profiling is really, simply put, just being able to recognize another person's personality type and then taking that information and using it to create win-win situations, whatever that may be. And today we're going to talk about creating win-win situations with our children.
Okay, fantastic. So now, how many different personality types are there?
Well, there's 4 different types, and you actually contain all 4 to some degree. 80% of the population is going to feel very comfortable in 2, and some people even test level. They're even in all 4, but you do contain all 4 in you to some degree. So my job is to teach you how to recognize someone's dominant traits so that you kind of can have a predictor of what they need from you to create that win-win situation.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Well, yeah, we were reading over some of the information that you sent over to us as a preview, and we were last night we were sitting down trying to pinpoint. We're like, am I this? Am I that? I know I'm inspiring, but I'm also a little cautious. So I guess you cleared it up for us that obviously there is some rollover with each of the different personality types.
So now
Exactly.
What would be like the first step you do? Would you profile yourself and your spouse first, and then your kids second, or how do you go about doing that?
It really doesn't necessarily matter what order you do it in, as long as you do all of you is the best thing to do. And then share with your kids, hey, here's mom's strengths. Here's the things I'm great at, but here's some things that I also know are a challenge for me. I mean, we certainly don't want our kids to think that we're perfect, and we need to acknowledge where our challenge areas are and have some proactive ways of maybe if you're going to those challenge zones for them to be able to say, hey, Mom, remember your personality kind of has a challenge with this, okay? So
right.
Can really take it and just really change the dynamics of your entire family by doing an assessment on every single person and then sharing those with each other.
Okay, that's interesting. So how do you go about doing the assessment? Is there something on your website where you have like a little quiz, or how do you do that?
There is. We actually have online assessments that we recommend, and you would just go to personalityprofiles.org, and you would click on Order Materials, and it's going to take you into our store, and you'll see lots of different resources for you. But you order an assessment code, and those are normally $60, but I sell them for $35. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you a 48-page report, both on yourself and on your child. You just go online, answer 24 questions, and you're going to receive that report via email once you're ready to do the assessment. So they're really insightful. They tell you what your challenges are, your strengths, where your child goes under pressure. And to me, the thing that makes it worth the entire amount is there's a section in there that says, this is how my child learns. And you take that out, and guess who you're going to share that with?
Yeah.
The teacher.
Right.
Because if you have children, you're going to find a teacher that they don't click with. And this way, the teacher understands that it's not anything wrong with the child. It may be the way that teacher's trying to teach your child. Maybe they have a different learning style. And so these are invaluable reports. So we definitely recommend that every parent and child takes one.
Yeah, that's interesting. That point exactly about what teacher fits with your child. I was talking to Mike recently about that, because now our oldest is in 3rd grade, and so she's had several teachers up to now. And I actually talked with her the other day, and I had said, well, out of all those teachers that you had so far, who do you think fit with? And she had it specifically in mind the order of which the teachers fit best with her. So it was pretty interesting.
It's funny. Once you give her a personality assessment, and maybe she reads my kids' books that I have that teach kids how to profile people, she will tell you the personality of every single teacher that she has. And then it will be very clear why certain ones she clicks with very quickly, and others may not quite be her favorite teacher. It'll all be explained by understanding the different personalities.
That's interesting.
So that is cool. Just to really kind of get it in the forefront and understand what's driving people personality-wise. So on this report that the test, or I don't know if it's called the test, but the report that gets sent out to you, does it actually make some recommendations about how to deal with people with those personality types?
Absolutely. Now, we don't call it a test, Mike. It's an assessment, because test is a scary word.
You can probably tell what personality type I've been, right? Just by using that word.
A test has the presumption that you can pass or fail, and these are not a pass or fail scenario. There is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. They're just all different. And so we do call it an assessment. But yes, it'll tell you what that person needs from you, how they need you to interact, how they learn, what they're good at, and what they're never going to be good at. And so it's so insightful. I've had parents tell me it changed their relationship with their child. What parents often try to do is they'll say, oh, well, I don't need to do the assessment. I know my child is a D, for example. Well, you may not know your child is a D. Maybe you're a D and the child is copying you in certain things, and so you're going to make the assumption that that's your child's personality, and then you're going to treat them as if that's the case, when in fact, I just had this happen recently. She would have sworn her child was a D. We did an assessment, and the child came back as CS. And after she read the report, she said, it all makes sense now. And so it's so important not to just assume, but to really do the assessment and to gain that information from it.
Right, interesting.
So the assessment obviously is a great idea, but you know, a lot of the parents that watch our show and look at our website here, they're in the throes of things, and maybe they don't have the time right now to do the assessment. Are there any, maybe you can just touch on the 4 different personality types, and you mentioned a couple of letters I and D and those types of things, and then maybe just some kind of quick fixes that parents can use, you know, as triage.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, the first one is the letter D, and D stands for dominant. So if you think of a child that's the leader, that likes to be the boss, that says, okay, here's the game we're going to play, and here's how we're going to play it, and here's what everybody's going to do in the game, that's your D-type personality. They tend to be very argumentative with their parents. They may display impatience. And to help this child, because this particular personality really needs to be in control, okay? And so what you do is you let them have some control over things that are age appropriate for them. For example, you can say, do you want to take a bath or a shower? The end result is still what you want, but you're letting them choose how to get there. And so that is a huge thing that's very simple to do that will change your relationship with that particular child. And so that's your D type. And you'll know when you have a D child, because when they're very young, they're going to look at you out of their crib and think, I'm going to bust out of here and I'm going to take over the place. So you'll know very quickly when you have one of them. So did that clarify the D for you?
Yes. Yeah,
yes, we have one of those, so we're familiar with.
Well, we don't know that for a fact because we haven't done the assessment. So number one triage point is to give them a choice.
Give them choices, and also a big benefit for this personality is to give them a challenge. Instead of telling them what to do, what happens when you tell a D what to do is they did not even hear what you said. All they heard is, do you want to fight? Okay?
Right.
So what you have to do is reframe it in a challenge. So instead of saying, go check the mail, which is basically a direct order, and telling them what to do, you would say, I'm going to time you. I'm going to see if you can check the mail faster than you've ever checked the mail before. And what you'll notice is a completely different response from that child, because now you've given them a challenge and they want to beat their record time. And I promise you that alone will change the way that that child responds to you, just by simply rephrasing what it is that you want them to do. And the thing to remember is the end result is still what you want. You're just speaking their language in order to achieve what it is that you want to get. And that's what we call creating the win-win situation.
Cool.
That's awesome. That definitely will help out. And I'll tell you a little story about one of the tricks that I implemented earlier today based on what I had read from last night. But so moving on. So there's the next personality type would be?
Yes, the next one is inspiring, and where that's represented by the letter I. And this is the child that just wants to have fun. When people come over, I don't care if it's a repairman, the Avon lady, whoever it is, they think they're there to play with them. And they're going to entertain. They're very fun to be around, very outgoing, as you can imagine. The biggest challenge for this personality is they're great at being with people, but they're horrible at accomplishing tasks.